Hey everybody, I'm here today to show you and tell you how to use a router tool. This will be a full tutorial for beginners, so let's get right into the video. As you can see right here, this is my new Ryobi router tool, and it is a corded option over here. There's also a battery powered one, but this is the corded option, okay? I'm gonna show you how to use this specific one. Now, many routers, I would argue that most routers, the majority of router tools operate in a very similar manner. So you could probably take these instructions and use them or manipulate them slightly, but for your best results, you want to look at your specific owner's manual for your specific router. And then you can use these tips and these pieces of advice along with the owner's manual to sort of help you out, okay? So let's get right into the video. Now, the first thing is whenever you're making any adjustments on your router, make sure that it is indeed unplugged. So mine is unplugged right now, okay? You don't want to do any of this when it's plugged in. You only want it to be plugged in when you're ready to actually use it to cut. For any of these adjustments that I'm going to show you right now, make sure it's unplugged. So the first thing is to remove and insert your bit over here, okay? So very simple. Now, some routers use a 2-wrench system to tighten and loosen the collet, which is this piece over here that holds it in place. This uses a single wrench system with a locking piece. So this right here, this little tab that I can push in is the locking mechanism. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that in and I'm going to turn the collet. So I'm going to turn the collet until it clicks in place, okay? And it will click in place as soon as I'm able right there. So right now, as you can see, I'm able to fully lock the collet in place. Now I'm going to take my trusty wrench that came with the router and I'm going to turn the collet counterclockwise. I can also do it through, there's an opening over here. I can do it through here as well. It's kind of, you know, whatever works the best, to be honest with you. You can also adjust the depth and then turn it, it's up to you, but I'm just going to turn it from in here as soon as I lock on. There we go. Sorry, I'm going clockwise. No, I wasn't going counterclockwise. That's right. So I'm turning it counterclockwise to loosen it and it is on there quite tightly. So if you just give me a moment, I'm going to loosen it, but I need to get a little bit of a better grip on it. There we go. I just needed to put a little bit of strength into that, right? A little bit of elbow grease. Now I'm going to continue turning it counterclockwise while the locking pin is in place, and then you can just finger loosen it at some point. And what you want to do is you can remove the bit, and then you can put in a new bit. So I'm going to put the same one back in there. You can replace it with a new one though. Push it all the way in, and then what you want to do is pull it out about maybe like a 1/16 of an inch, an 1/8 of an inch, something like that. Just pull it out just a bit. Finger tighten your collet like that. And then you want to use the wrench to really tighten that collet up by turning it clockwise while your locking mechanism is being pressed. So I'm going to turn it clockwise right now while the locking mechanism is being pressed. And that's good to go. It's pretty much not going anywhere. Okay, so that's how to remove and insert a bit. Very easy to do. The next thing is that you can adjust the depth, right? So you can see right here, this router, the bit is barely sticking out. Okay, I know the lighting is pretty bad. I do apologize, but the bit is barely sticking out. Now with this one right here, there's a locking clip right here, so I can unlock it. And now what I can do is I can turn this little lever, and this will raise or lower. It will adjust the depth of that bit right there. So right now, as I'm turning it this way, okay, the bit is coming further out. So you can see right here, as I turn it this way, the bit is, I would call it extracting, as I guess the best word, right? And when I turn it the other way, the bit will be retracting. And you can go and just feather it to be the exact depth that you want. And with this one, with this specific router, even when you lock it in place, so let's say I lock it in place, I can make minor adjustments in either direction. Just minor adjustments in either direction. It allows me to just adjust it just a touch in either direction, basically. So that's like maximum one way and then maximum the other way like that. So you can even make minor adjustments in either direction. Now for this tutorial, I'm going to just retract it just a little bit more. Okay, this way right here. I don't want it to be sticking out too much. There we go, that's perfect. All right, because I'm in my garage, I don't want to create too much dust. So that's locked in place, and now I can only make those minor adjustments, okay? With regards to using it, okay, very simple. You plug it in, okay? I'm going to plug it in, as you can see right here. Plug it in just like that's the wrong way. Plug it in like that, there we go. Now we have the correct polarity of the plug. And essentially there is a on and off switch over here in this one. Might be at a different location on yours, but it's over here in this one. So I'm gonna get the cord out of the way. I'm gonna turn it on and just show you what it looks like as it is spinning. You will get a little jolt when you turn it on, so be careful. Make sure you have full grip of the router. Okay? And then now I turned it off as well. Very simple. Now, when the time comes to actually route into something, to actually mortise something, to actually cut into something, I just have a little piece of wood that I clamped right here onto a little wire, like a Romex wire, spare wire that I had lying around in the garage. I've had this wire since I did my first renovation on the kitchen of my old house. So, I don't know, it's probably like 10 years old, maybe 9 years old, and I just don't know what to do with it. The wire is still good. I use it for videos sometimes, but there's just so much that's left over. Anyways, essentially, when you turn on your router, you want to place it so that this part right here, okay, this part right here, this mount, this little plate, is flat on the surface that you want to cut. So I place it flat on that piece of wood there that I want to cut. And I'm starting with the router bit, not touching the wood, but out. And what I want to do is go and gradually go into the wood. So I want to go into the wood. That's because this is the type of router. It's not a plunge router. A plunge router, you can place it in the middle, and then you can push it down into the wood. But because this is not a plunge router, you want to start outside. Okay, so I'm starting with the router bit about here, and then I'm gonna go into the wood like that, and it will cut into the wood. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place it flat on the surface. You wanna make sure that your surface is not wobbly or anything like that. Like, this is good to go. I have my foot on this, so I should be good to go. Your cord, if you have a corded router, is out of the way, so I have it nice and out of the way. I'm gonna turn the router on, and I'm gonna start moving in until I cut this a little bit. I just wanna make a couple of small cuts, okay? So let me get my foot really on that right there. We're good to go. Let's turn it on. I'm gonna be quiet because it does get quite loud, and I'll show you just how to make a little sort of mortise over here, okay? Let's do this. All right, so as you can see right there, essentially I just went in, out. And by doing that, I created this little mortise right here that I made. And if I had sorry, wow, my lisp really came out there. I used to have a really bad lisp as a kid. I pretty much got rid of it now as an adult, but every once in a while, it just, when I have so much saliva in my mouth from talking in videos so much, it just really makes its way out. Anyways, essentially that bit, if I had set it to be further out, that would be deeper. If I had set it to be more retracted, that would be not as deep, okay? It would be more shallow, okay? So essentially you can do whatever you want to do with your router. It's that easy. You can see right there, I made that little mortise, that little indent, that little chisel out. And yeah, that's it. Just make sure, make sure a few things. Number one, if you're gonna do something important, like something that really matters to you, like chisel out a door and you don't want to ruin the door, just practice with your router a little bit on a spare piece of wood like this before you do it. You really want to make sure you practice first, get the hang of it. Second thing is make sure you have a really solid grip on that router. These things, because the bit turns clockwise, okay, they have a tendency to sort of pull, and you want to have your hands firmly on those grips, gripping them nice and tightly so you have full control over that router. And lastly, if you're going along the edge of something, right, because these bits have they go clockwise, right, when they're turning, I'm trying to find my other bit, it's over there, it's too far, I don't want to grab it right now, but essentially when they're turning clockwise, they're going to try and pull clockwise along the piece of wood that you're routing out, that you're mortising out. So what you want to do is move counterclockwise. So if I was going on this, the bit would try to pull the router clockwise around this over here, right? So I would want to move counterclockwise to go against that. Now, some applications will cause you to go clockwise. They will want you to go clockwise depending on the situation, or you might have to. But make sure if you're going clockwise or even counterclockwise that you have full grip of that router, because it's going to want to pull. You might experience a little bit of kickback, so make sure you really have full grip of that. You know, you get a knot in the wood, you're going to get a little bit of a pull or a kickback. So make sure you're gripping that thing really tightly. And lastly, the last tip for using a your router, whenever you're not actually using it to cut anything, unplug it, okay? You gotta understand, these things right here, they have an exposed blade right there, right? And literally with the flip of a switch right here, this would turn on and that blade would be spinning and this one goes up to 25,000 RPM. So it would be spinning really fast. So when you're not using your router, just unplug it and this way you can always be safe. And that is essentially it. That is how to use a router tool, a full tutorial. I've shown you exactly how to do it with this Ryobi corded router. It came with a carrying case and 3 bits. It's like a full router set, router beginner kit, I like to call it. I don't know if that's the official name, I don't think it is, but that's what I like to call it anyways. But you could probably take these tips and pieces of advice and sort of apply them to your own routing skills as well. And be sure to consult your own specific owner's manual for your specific router to make sure that you're doing everything according to the specifications and recommendations for that specific router tool product. And that's it. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.